You know what percentage of plastic gets recycled? 5%. Those blue bins that are everywhere, they're not full of bottles, they're full of Can you blame us for being a little cynical when you find out that all that plastic that we've been painstakingly separating out for the last 20 years all goes to the same place anyway? So yes, it's fun to laugh at powerful people. That's how I can afford to fly private.
Despite all the conferences, all the climate bills, and a mountain of speeches about saving the Earth, somehow everything keeps getting worse. The oceans are choking, the air grows thicker, and even with all the flashy campaigns and big promises, real progress feels more like a mirage than reality. Clearly, something in this whole equation refuses to add up.
May not be able to do much about the weather, but we do need a better plan for putting out a burning city than waiting for rain. America is so partisan now that even when there's a disaster of any kind, so many people choose to defend their own team, even over death. A lot of Democrats in this one-party state this week went right to, don't blame politicians, you can't do anything about the wind. Which is exactly half true, the wind part. Yes, fire is a tough fight out here, and yes, global warming absolutely makes it worse. But that's largely out of our control. What are we going to do, pass a ballot measure to make sure Chinese stop burning coal?
And now BillMaher has stepped right into the middle of it, calling out the hypocrisy, the empty pledges, and the political theater holding this whole show together. Brace yourself, because his take is about to get sharper, louder, and a whole lot more explosive.
I tried to do my part for the environment. I never had kids. The one thing worse for the planet than private jets. It's true, because then they have kids. I had the first generation Prius in 2001. It looked like a Tylenol gel cap. I was always handing my keys to valets who were driving a better car than me. I had the first Tesla in 2010, and honestly, both these cars sucked. The Tesla came up to about here on me. If I had a hard-on, I couldn't fit in this thing.
Maher is visibly furious, and this round feels personal. He's pouring his time, effort, and money into actually trying to help the planet. Yet the people writing the rules seem oddly removed from the consequences. While Maher installs energy-efficient tech, drives eco-friendly cars, and trims his own carbon footprint, he sees leaders preaching climate virtue even as their behavior contradicts their message. That double standard hits hard. His anger isn't just about climate action. It's about the glaring gap between what's preached and what's practiced. Everyday citizens are told to make sacrifices while the political class treats climate pledges like PR props. To Maher, the problem isn't a lack of awareness. It's a lack of honesty. And he's not sugarcoating a thing as he calls out how environmentalism has been turned into a flashy performance instead of a true mission.
But both times I said to myself, okay, I'll take one for the team because I have a platform, so I'll do the right thing, and then everybody will follow, people will... Nobody followed. In 2021, 80% of new vehicles weren't electric, weren't even hybrid. They weren't even cars. They were SUVs and trucks. That's what people want. In 1973, the share of global electricity generated by coal was 38%. You know what it was 46 years later in 2019 after all the talk and all the trying? 37%.
This is exactly what happens when leaders chase applause over solutions. Too many appear more invested in symbolic gestures than real outcomes. Every speech, every rollout, every emotional plea to save the planet feels crafted for optics instead of impact. They scold ordinary people about gas cars or plastic straws, then hop on private jets for climate conferences across the world. It all starts to look like heroics without substance. Maher argues that far too often, leaders are more committed to looking climate conscious than to actually fixing anything. And while they polish their reputations, the planet keeps absorbing the cost of their performance politics.
Those blue bins that are everywhere, they're not full of bottles, they're full of... Can you blame us for being a little cynical when you find out that all that plastic that we've been painstakingly separating out for the last 20 years all goes to the same place anyway? So yes, it's fun to laugh at powerful people. That's how I can afford to fly private. But we need to get serious. Really. More nuclear? Moving way more money into research and development? I don't know, but something serious.
Maher takes a razor-sharp jab at the absurdity of modern recycling, especially the obsession with sorting plastics as if that alone is saving the world. He highlights a hard truth: most of that neatly separated plastic still ends up in the same landfills as regular trash. So what's the point of all the sorting, labeling, and self-congratulation? Maher sees it as another feel-good ritual crafted by politicians to look responsible without tackling the real problem. It's environmental theater at its finest. We've been sold the illusion that dropping a bottle in a blue bin is a heroic act, when in reality it barely dents the issue. Maher argues that we're recycling comforting narratives more than actual plastic, and that illusion, perpetuated by leaders, is part of why progress stays stuck.
But we need to get serious. Really. More nuclear? Moving way more money into research and development? I don't know, but something serious, because the real technological problem is the way people are wired. I know it's easier just to blame Taylor Swift's plane, but honestly, do you want to be stuck on Southwest with a pissed-off Taylor Swift?
Sure, there will always be more research. There always is. But what good does any of it do if it never turns into action? Maher points out how billions are poured into studies, reports, panels, and committees, yet practical solutions arrive painfully slow. At the same time, some of the groups championing that research send mixed signals through their own lifestyles. It becomes a cycle of well-packaged hypocrisy, endless data with minimal follow-through. Maher's argument is blunt: research without accountability transforms into a tool for looking busy rather than making progress. We're not researching solutions anymore. We're researching excuses. Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking for the planet.
May not be able to do much about the weather, but we do need a better plan for putting out a burning city than waiting for rain. Yes, fire is a tough fight out here, and yes, global warming absolutely makes it worse. But that's largely out of our control. What are we going to do? Pass a ballot measure to make sure Chinese stop burning coal? It's also, yes, undeniably true that LA is built in a stupid place to build a city.
Maher's absolutely right on this point. We can't control nature completely, but we can certainly stop making disasters worse. Take California wildfires. They've become an almost predictable catastrophe. And Maher calls out the decisions and priorities that, in his view, made some fires far harder to fight. He highlights controversies around water management and resource allocation that left firefighters struggling. Yes, protecting wildlife matters, but Maher argues that it shouldn't come at the cost of homes, lives, and entire communities. His message hits hard. Nature is powerful, but poor leadership can turn that power into devastation that didn't have to happen.
Axios ran a story on how getting the water out of the hydrants in Pacific Palisades was more complicated than it seems. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's very complicated. That's why I pay 13% of my income in this state every year to people who I assumed were working on things like this. When asked why so many of the hydrants in the Palisades ran out of water, Governor Newsom said the local folks are trying to figure that out. Yeah, you got to do that before the fire.
And that's the heart of the issue. We're paying premium taxes for leadership that keeps offering excuses instead of results. Californians shell out some of the highest taxes in the country, supposedly for infrastructure, emergency prep, and safety. Yet when disaster strikes, vital resources don't always reach where they're needed. Maher voices the frustration many feel. People are losing everything while politicians hold press conferences and swap talking points. Even with massive budgets, essential areas still feel neglected or bogged down in endless bureaucracy. His outrage mirrors what millions think: how can one of America's wealthiest states be so unprepared when it matters most? It's mismanagement disguised as leadership, and ordinary people are the ones left paying the price.
At least in the Palisades, the hydrants were still there. 300 other ones around the city are just gone, stolen for parts. One of the 3 reservoirs for the Palisades was offline at the one time of year when it was most needed. LA's Mayor Karen Bass, the Nero of American politics, was fiddling in Ghana while the city burned and later placed the blame on 8 months of negligible rain and winds that have not been seen in LA in at least 14 years. Yeah, that's not that long a time. Maybe look in the history books to see how our ancestors handled it back in 2011.
It's not like California officials didn't know wildfires were coming. At this point, they're practically seasonal. The problem isn't ignorance, it's failure to execute. Maher points out how leaders had years to fortify infrastructure, clear dry brush, and strengthen water access, yet still ended up scrambling when fires hit. Instead of action, there were speeches, predictions, and self-congratulations. Then, when the flames rolled in, everyone acted shocked. It's the same cycle every year: bold claims, weak follow-through. Californians don't need more committees or televised promises. They need competence. And Maher's criticism resonates because it reflects what people have watched unfold for decades: big talk, little execution when crisis arrives.
The mayor said about cuts to the fire department's budget, there were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation. The fire chief here had a slightly different take. She said, "We are screaming to be properly funded. And yes, the budget was cut, and it did impact our ability to provide service. And by the looks of all the fire engines in the boneyard out of service because we didn't fix them, she's right."
How do you even justify cutting fire department budgets? Maher questions the logic behind trimming resources for the very people standing between communities and disaster. Those cuts lead to broken engines, empty fuel tanks, and hydrants that can't even pump water during emergencies. When things collapse, politicians blame unexpected conditions or equipment failure, but eventually the truth comes out: years of underfunding. Maher points out that the tragedy wasn't nature's failure. It was human failure. Poor planning, slow responses, and leadership that allowed critical systems to deteriorate. Entire neighborhoods paid the price for decisions that never should have been made.
Exposed power lines keep causing fires and keep not getting buried underground because it's expensive. I've heard people say, "Do you want to pay more taxes to fund this?" No, I want you to use the exorbitant taxes you already collect to prioritize it. The power lines that cut through Topanga weren't upgraded because it endangered an herb, the milk vetch, which sounds like something they serve at Passover.
And this is the core issue: catering to symbolic priorities while real people suffer. Maher highlights debates over environmental policies that, in his view, placed plant habitats above human safety, such as delaying the reinforcement or burial of hazardous electrical lines. The result? Devastating damage, ruined communities, and billions lost. Critics argue that these decisions stem from political optics more than practical reasoning. Protecting nature matters, but not at the expense of human lives. Maher's frustration reflects what many feel. California's biggest problems are often intensified by policies that create more harm than good. His message is blunt: we have solutions, but leadership keeps stalling. They preach climate virtue while boarding private jets, cut fire budgets while raising taxes, and elevate politics above the people they're meant to protect. Until leaders stop performing and start leading, California will keep burning, both literally and through the fallout of their failures. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.